Good evening, one and all, and welcome to episode 6 of Into the Shadows. I'm smiling a lot right now. Many of you are probably wondering why, and some of you might be just the slightest bit concerned as to why someone like me would be smiling. I'll tell you why. Because tonight we're going to be delving in something I know a lot about. That would be hypnosis. Yes. Why am I talking about hypnosis? Hello, Susan. Welcome to Into the Shadows. I'm your host tonight, Baron Voltage, and tonight we are going to be delving into fear of hypnosis. Now, fear of hypnosis. What do I mean by that? People that are afraid of its capabilities. People that are afraid of those that use it. Where the fear came from, why is it so much of a terrifying thing, and what it can actually do. That is what we're going to be covering tonight. So, like, share, subscribe, however you see fit. I post past episodes up on YouTube. Right now, I'm on Hellfire Radio, live. So by all means, get everybody that you can. Tune in, strap in, because tonight we're going to have some fun. And the more fun I have, the longer I stay on. The longer I stay on, the more fun we have. It's a nice little balance. Susan, good evening. Sleep well, and thank you for sharing. Now, some of you want to probably hear one or two or three or four things. Smash a nice little thumbs up if you're kind of in the dark about hypnosis. You don't know what it is. You don't even think it's real. Smash a heart if you do think it's real. Or just give me a nice little laughing or care emoji, however you see fit. A laughing emoji if, frankly, you don't know. I'm really curious to see what you all think, what you all feel. Because tonight we're going to be delving into a lot. I saw one heart already, so I already know who it's from. There are many of us that do know what hypnosis is, so I'm going to delve a little bit right now to what hypnosis is. First, let me dispel some mischaracterized characteristics of hypnosis, like what it isn't. Some myths I'll dispel. You don't lose consciousness during hypnosis. As a matter of fact, you gain a sense of what's known as hyperfocus, tunnel vision, if you will, but of the attention. There's a number of ways I could use to describe this. Great metaphors I've used plenty of times. I teach this throughout the world, weirdly enough, right? And I can tell you that hypno can be very cathartic. Therapists have used it. Scientists have finally recognized the legitimate... Dawn, thank you. Thank you for tuning in again. My day is doing fantastic. I'm talking about something that I love, and that's hypnosis. Doctors have finally admitted that it is a thing. It's not in someone's head in regards to it being false. Hypnosis is real, first and foremost. It does have an effect. It does. And maybe tonight, I'll tell you this. If I get up to 30 concurrent viewers, I might tell you how to do a little bit of basic self-hypnosis. Maybe. But, Jeremy, good seeing you again, buddy. Now, here's the thing with hypnosis. You don't lose your sense of self. You don't. It's not mind control. Although that is why people are afraid of it. They think they lose free will. They think they lose the ability to stop themselves from doing something that they normally would never do. That's incorrect. Hypnosis will never make you do something that you don't want or goes against your morals or puts you in danger. It doesn't. As a matter of fact, there is a mechanism within the brain that stops you from endangering yourself or going against what could be considered your moral center. I know it sounds very ambiguous, but, for example, I can't hypnotize somebody to walk into traffic. I can't. No matter how many people I'm sure I'd love to do that to, I cannot. It's impossible. It would put their life in danger, and they have something that is called agency. Agency stops the mind from making something a reality. Agency is your brain's ultimate failsafe. With any and all types of hypnosis out there, and there are varying types, there are degrees of effectiveness. There are several different ways that a person can go into hypnosis. But I guarantee you, almost every single person that you know and yourself have been through it and didn't even realize that that's what you were going through, because it's such a natural state to be in. Ironic, right? I'll give you an example of when you have been. How many people here remember high school? A considerable number of you, I'm sure. Thing is that I can guarantee you not everybody remembers everything that happened during that day from beginning bell to end bell of a class. Many of us have zoned out to the teacher droning on and on and on and on and on. That was a state of trance. The opening salvo for hypnosis. Hypnosis is the overall, trance is the opening into it. Think of trance like a door. It's the blank slate for you to paint the picture, which is what I would normally do. You put the person into trance, you plant the suggestions, either lead them through a hypnotic suggestion narratively, which means while they're still in that state of trance, you lead them through an experience, and when they come out, the experience is ended. Or you put them into trance, you plant some post-hypnotic suggestion. Post-hypnotic means after they've been in the state of hypnosis. So that this way, when you institute what is known as a hypnotic trigger, the person will enact whatever the post-hypnotic suggestion might be. This is real. It does happen. The brain acknowledges the trigger and will do the thing, whatever it may be. My favorite one to do. I'll make somebody think that I'm firing electricity between these fingers. It's fun. I'll make them think that I turn into mist, move faster than they can think. And there are ways to do this. It's all fun. All fun. But with any and all forms of hypnosis out there, there are some dark horses. There are some things that can be done that, frankly, are a little underhanded if done with the poorest of intent or somewhat recklessly. There's something that pickup artists use, which is known as neurolinguistic programming. NLP, as it's called, uses associative visual, which means allows the person's subconscious to pick up on things that they're watching and that they're looking, and then associating them with various different types of bit. Can I remove my vampire teeth? I gladly could, but I will not. I like representing my inner self. Since I am a hypnotist, naturally, one of the most famously portrayed creatures that are notorious for using forms of hypnosis are vampires. I identify as a vampire. Therefore, my teeth, I rather enjoy. And I like having them in as often as I can, especially in the evenings. Oh, well, thank you. Horror Show Jack made them for me. I highly suggest you check him out. He has a Facebook page. He has a website, I'm pretty sure. He's very good with his rates. He's incredible with his timing and speed, so I highly suggest it. He's actually going to be helping me out with something soon, so hopefully when that happens, you'll all see the result. It'll be fantastic. And I'm not going to say fantastic, because not all vampires are that cheesy. We're a little ashy, but not cheesy. Anyways, I'm trying to think back. What was I talking about? Oh, yes, that's right. NLP. Now, NLP, if you're skilled, can be used for good things. If you have bad intent, unfortunately, it can be rather shitty. It can either A, backfire on you completely, or at the same token, it's a slippery slope. It's great to use if you know how to use it for the best of intentions. The problem is that much like how guns are fun to go take to the range to shoot, somebody could just as easily use it to rob a liquor store. It's a downside. You know, I kind of look at NLP very much like sticking your hand into a basket of scalpels, hoping to pull out a lollipop in the center. And when you pull your hand out, is it cut? You gotta be really good and very delicate and careful. And the golden rule. Yes, Paige, the golden rule. And this has been instituted policy that I've had at a convention that I teach in Toronto. I run a convention for hypnosis. The standard rule is, don't be a douchebag. Don't hypnotize somebody without their consent. Don't put any suggestions into somebody's head without their consent. Don't use NLP on somebody without their consent. Hypnosis is a very powerful tool, and I think that's why people are afraid of it. Because the media has smeared the shit out of us. The media has falsely portrayed us. We've got a very bad rap, us hypnotists. For the longest time, we were thought to be non-existent. People just playing pretend. Contrary to them, now we're acknowledged as real. Isn't that fun? And at the same time, various different types of organizations have popped up all throughout the world now, exploring the fun that can be had with it. Be it therapeutic or can it be kinky? Nicole, yeah, it can. You just have to find the right hypnotist, find the right type of therapy. To be honest with you, night terrors, I'm not a therapist. The only thing I could say is consult with a hypnotherapist. See if it's something they can do. I'm sure they'd be more than willing to try. Since night terrors, I think, is still a little bit in the dark as far as its causes are concerned, they may not be able to really hammer out the biological causes, because I think that is a chemical imbalance within the mind. But I could be wrong. I could be talking out of my ass on that. And people can be hypnotized without realizing it. I'll give you a good example, Jeremy. I'll give you a great example. You've gone for a long drive, okay? When you've gone to a long drive somewhere, from point A to point B for a couple of hours, you won't remember the whole ride. You're going to zone out at least a few times. And the thing is that you'll still be driving perfectly safe. And to use a good metaphor here, and this is my personal favorite one, and there are a couple of people right now that are watching that have heard me use this metaphor before, and I can guarantee you, it fits. Here's the metaphor. Picture your mind is the top floor of an office building. Okay? Your mind, anytime, Nicole, I'm glad that you tuned in. There are no such things as bad questions. Ask me anything in regards to it. I'm happy to answer. I'm one of the most easiest people to reach out to. You can also reach me directly at my Gmail at baronvvoltage@gmail.com. I have a YouTube page, which I have past episodes uploaded to, so you can reach out to me there. Or you can reach out to me on Facebook. Just look me up, Baron Voltage. I'm more than happy to engage with you folks. Any point. So, by all means. And Cody, you're saying you need to be hypnotized. I don't know why. I'll ask in a moment. Once I get this metaphor out there, we'll figure out exactly why you think you need to be hypnotized. Because hypnosis inspires some fear in people. Now, here's the bit. Your mind is an office building. On one side, it's a door, oak door. Looks like it belongs to a frickin' lawyer. Brass plate, nameplate onto it. And what it has on it is written, subconscious. Okay? And in there is a guy that looks like he is worn the hell out. He is watching every single monitor that is regulating about a billion things. Imagine a Titantron with about 1 billion screens, or the architect scene from Matrix 2. Okay? Every single one of those screens has several different autonomic functions, which means functions of the body that happen without you even thinking about it. Billion things all going on, and he's watching every single one of them. He's hitting switches, he's flipping buttons, you name it. Okay? Now, that's one office. On the other side, however, is a curtain with beads hanging down. You could smell patchouli coming out from underneath the damn curtain. You could hear acid rock playing from the other side. When you go in there, it reeks of stank as sativa. I know I got a couple of folks here that enjoy a little bit of the wacky tobacco, I'm pretty damn sure. And I'll tell you, in there, oh, it's a cloud and a half. And you got a guy sitting on a couch there, munching away, toking away like crazy. And written on a post-it note, it's just one word. Conscious. That's your conscious mind. It is the stoner. This guy's overweight and will not do anything until it gets told to do so. And usually when it gets told to do so, it gets told to do so by that really stressed out guy across the hall. Like crazy. And in between these two offices, and this is the one that gets the most laughs, is a single desk with an in and out box. And sitting behind that desk is Roz from Monsters Inc. asking whether or not you filed your reports, Wachowski. Where's the report, Wachowski? Roz, believe it or not, is a function of the brain, the RAS. It's the reticular activation system of the mind. It processes incoming and outgoing information of the visual cortex, as well as the processing between the conscious and subconscious brain. It's legit. Look it up. I came up with that connection perfectly because Roz is the secretary you have to get through, the executive assistant, the person that's the gatekeeper. If a person does not want to believe in hypnosis, does not believe in hypnosis, or does not want to be hypnotized, Roz will kick you the fuck out. Plain and simple. Because to Roz, she has a key set of rules and instructions on her desk the whole time. I don't believe in hypnosis. Then any hypnotist tries to get in there, out. I don't want to be hypnotized. Hypnotist comes in there, out. The whole gamut. But if hypnosis is permitted and the person does believe in it, now we're going to have some fun. Thank you very much, Justin. Thank you for tuning in. Like, share, subscribe. Share the hell out of this, guys. The more shares, the more views. The more views, the more engagement. The more engagement, the more likely they keep me around. And I want to keep talking to you folks. So, if you want to get hypnotized and you believe in hypnosis, then when a hypnotist comes in, they tell Roz, guess what? Here's a coupon for a free mani-pedi, extra lunch, and about 3 or 4 different packs at the nearest salon. Have fun. Take the night off. You know what happens then? Roz thanks you and then puts you behind the desk as the hypnotist. Now you're controlling the ingoing and outgoing stimulus as the hypnotist. Because normally, when Roz is there, and we'll use highway hypnosis as a good example. Okay, we'll use the highway example. Talking so much, my cigarette went out. Smoking 25 years, and you know what? The only thing that will ever let me ignore smoking a cigarette is talking to you guys. Seriously. So, using the highway example. You're driving along. You start to zone out. Do you know why you zone out? Because Roz already knows what it is that they're looking at. It's a road. It's a tree. It's a guardrail. It's a line or dash in the road. It's night. It's day. It's a road. It's a tree. It's a guardrail. It's night. It's day. It's a lamppost. She already has all that information. Already processing it, taking it from the inbox right to the outbox. Inbox right to the outbox. Inbox right to the outbox. And doing it so much, not really paying mind. Not really paying mind because there's nothing really there that's new. Nothing really there that's new. Holy shit, there's a deer. Now she's paying attention. Because now that there's a deer, immediately she pulls the sheet out that's like procedures for whenever there's a deer. Oh crap. Send this over to the subconscious brain to kick in all the adrenaline, muscle function that immediately happens. Startle awake, full conscious, full focus. Sends it over to subconscious takes a look at it and goes, oh fuck, it's a deer. Crank the medulla, get the panic response in, make the heart rate go faster, pump the adrenaline as much as you possibly can, institute reflex function immediately. Sends it over to the conscious brain. Conscious brain sees that and is like, oh dude, fuck, man, okay, man, hit the brakes. Sends it off. And then it goes into the outbox. I'll tell you. That is what Roz does. And when you're behind that seat, you're controlling what the input is. And you're controlling what the output is. Simple. That's hypnosis. Now, when somebody's in hypnosis, this is what happens next. The person takes the sheet, being the hypnotist, and says something simple. Let me see. I think of a good example here. Somebody give me an example of something I might plant into somebody's head hypnotically. That they'd realist. Actually, first, that no matter what it is. We'll go by probably a good example and a bad example. I'll wait. Don't be afraid to comment. I see there's 13 people watching. Okay, I see a skull. You're talking about hypnotic death? Anybody else? Okay, hypnotic death. All right. First off, I'll tell you about that Jeremy in a minute. Okay? We'll talk about that in a minute. Because stage hypnosis, recreational hypnosis, kink hypnosis, and therapeutic hypnosis are 4 different things. And I'll tell you about all of them in a minute. All right. Hello, man. Which Hellfire Radio member are you, sir? And Paige, I do stage hypnosis on occasion, so... Alright, let's talk about hypnotic death. Okay? Believe it or not, you can make somebody experience what they believe is death. A lot of people have what are known as preconceived notions. Usually the subconscious mind immediately has a Rolodex or a card catalog or is able to Google and Wikipedia their own private knowledge of what death is. So when the subconscious mind immediately goes and gets the information this person wants to experience, hypnotic death, me as the hypnotist, I'm going to the subconscious. Subconscious takes one look at that and it's like, death. Okay. How you doing, Tyson? Glad to see you on. Your subconscious takes a look. Okay? If Wikipedia is really quick and Google's really quick, we'll use an example here, okay? We'll use Tyson as an example here. Tyson looks up Tyson Google and Tyson Wiki as to what their preconceived notions as to what death is. Okay. Takes a look at the sheet, takes a look at the individual parameters. What happens when you die? Okay. I think we're going to go with this one, not that one, but this one. I approve all of these except for maybe these 2 or 3, because that might actually kill me. All right. Hands me the sheet. I take the sheet from the subconscious all the way over to the conscious. And I talk to the conscious and I say, hey, subconscious received an order that I gave. They gave their approval for this, not this, and none of these. What do you think? Conscious brain is going to be like, if you bring me a bag of Cheetos, I'll approve of anything, man. Okay. So conscious brain's got the munchies. Always does. In this case, the munchies being sensory deprivation. Conscious brain is always looking for some form of stimulation. It's understandable. So, as the hypnotist, I will use my voice. I will use my tone. I will use my words in order to be able to bring the person to a state of relaxation and plant the suggestion effectively. In this particular case, what I would do, I was just using my hypnotic voice there. And I do apologize if anybody was being affected. There is something that's called splash damage. So, I take that and I put it into your mind's outbox. What does that mean? That means that I just planted a hypnotic trigger into the person's mind that when I say this or that, or I snap my fingers, or I wave my hand, or I point my finger and I go bang, the subject, being the person that's being hypnotized, will experience death as they perceive it, unless I've already written in some stuff into the blanks. They will feel pain in their chest. They will feel a sudden feeling of cold from the tips of their fingers and toes, slowly but surely gathering towards the center of their torso, encapsulating the heart. You begin to feel a slight head rush because the blood is leaving your brain and slowly going down your neck towards your chest until you only feel warmth in your heart. And then you begin to feel it slow down till eventually the pain stops and you lose the ability to move, interact, or speak. And what I might do, depending on the person's individual beliefs, give them a vision of astral projection, seeing themselves as they're laying there, dead. Maybe starting to go up or down. All depends. There's something that we go through what's known as negotiation. It's the process before I even put the person into trance, before I even walk into the office that is the individual and go to see Roz. I go through what it is that necessarily they want to experience. And that's key, because that's intel gathering at its finest, and it better be at its finest. You want to make sure that you get every little thing possible that the person wants to experience. Details are important. I've been doing this for years. The more details, the better. It makes the conscious brain not to have to fill anything back. And yes, you can, hypnotically. Harley, thank you for watching. Glad you tuned in. Now, with hypnosis, okay, you have them experience hypnotic death. You can have them experience hypnotic resurrection. Okay? With that, it's what's known as the exit. Once they've experienced death and all the individual effects that I want them to have, I'll have them suddenly go right back into their body. They'll feel their heart suddenly pump up once, and then a couple more times. The next thing you know, the warmth is starting to spread throughout their body, go up towards the head, towards the extremities. They feel their chest suddenly rise, and so do they. Now they're alive again. Probably experiencing pain everywhere because their body essentially, in their mind, went hasta lasagna. Now, here's where it gets more interesting, and this is where shit had a tendency to get so ambiguous that a lot of people thought the hypnosis was bullshit. Here's the kick. It is a form, a very, 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 very advanced form of pretend. Now, how does that not make hypnosis bullshit? I'll tell you. We've all been kids before. Were you really shooting bullets when you were playing cops and robbers? When you were sitting in that cardboard box, were you really in a spaceship? Were your friends, when they were acting like zombies coming to get you, were they really the undead? When you played as a superhero and you punched the ground, did the earth really shake? To you, it did. To you, it was. To you, they were. To you, the bullets were real. Why? Why was that real? I'll tell you why. Your conscious and subconscious brains were still new hires. You know what that meant? The conscious and subconscious brain actually still talk to one another. You didn't need Roz. You didn't need her. Because the subconscious brain was doing all the processing of the ingoing and outgoing. Didn't give a fuck about the validity. And the conscious brain had never even touched a sip of a beer before, let alone touched weed. Your subconscious brain at that point didn't have that much to process. Didn't have to handle really that many memories, didn't have to remember that many injuries, didn't have to remember about that many safety protocols. Remember, when we were young, we were malleable as hell. We could run into a brick frickin' wall. Yes, you can add Baron Voltage to your Facebook. Friend request me, I'm happy to accept. I'm happy to engage. You can also email me at baronvvoltage@gmail.com. There's no spaces. Or you could subscribe to my YouTube channel, catch all past episodes there too. I'm more than happy to be able to get comments there. And who knows? Maybe I'll take a suggestion you have for an episode. I've done it before. Jeremy can tell you. There's another show that is done on Wednesdays by this other guy. He calls himself the Rant Commander. His episodes are on there too. He's happy to take suggestions as well. He and I share an email. Makes things easier. But, as I said, when you're young, your conscious and subconscious brains will take any suggestion and make it real. How come we're not like that when we're adults? Well, your subconscious is working through a hell of a lot more. And your conscious brain? He's taking the token up some high frickin' end jabooby there, man. Could care fucking less about anything unless he gets told to do it. He's too frickin' stoned. And I'll tell you, I know we got a couple of stoners in the audience right now. When you're ripped off your ass, you don't want to do shit. Well, thank you very much, Cody. You want to know what? Always happy to have you. Always happy to have anybody to come in and learn. But that's what happens between the conscious and subconscious brains. When you're dealing with suggestions that a lot of people think could be bullshit, the reason why it's considered bullshit is because you are technically going along with it. It's just your mind makes it real once you start to go along with it. That's the beauty of it. It's like you kick the snowball down the hill, let the snowball roll, and guess what? Eventually, you're not pushing it. It's moving on its own. You don't have to play along. I'm also reading comments here, too. I know there were people that would get into a trance state, be able to handle extremely hot things without getting birds, and handle the ice cube told to be boiling, and they would get burned. Yeah. The mind will make things real. BARON space VOLTAGE. Bravo Alpha Romeo Oscar November space Victor Oscar Lima Tango Alpha Golf Echo. Baron, as in the Red Baron, Voltage is in the electrical measure of current, the measure of electrical current. Simple. That's why I like it. Hey, Lance! Good seeing you again. Welcome to Into the Shadows, Episode 6, Hypnosis. Yes. So, that is why it can be considered BS. But the thing is that when you go along with it, your mind will make the suggestions real. That's the most beautiful thing about it. Now, I said there were 4 different types of hypnosis. You got stage hypnosis, recreational hypnosis, kink hypnosis, and neurolinguistic programming. I already spoke about neurolinguistic programming. I avoid it mostly because it's underhanded in its own way. It can be covert. I don't like doing it because there's too much of a risk of abuse of it. And I don't like teaching it. You've got stage hypnosis, which involves a lot of what I call preparation of the audience. By that, if you go to a stage hypnotist, before he brings anybody up on stage, what he does is he does what's known as a thermometer test. He has everybody pretend they're holding 2 buckets, or a bucket and a balloon. Bucket, he'll say, I want you to imagine another brick is put into the bucket, and I want you to imagine more helium in that balloon. And what he's doing is he's looking to see whose hand goes up the highest, the fastest, and whose arm goes down more the lowest. That means the person not only is willing to play along, which means let their mind make something real, but also who's suggestible, which means they won't have to put them that deep into trance to plant a hypnotic trigger. Well, different from what other night? I always look this way. Every Friday I'm on. I'm not on any other time of the week. But therapeutic hypnosis. That one delves into memory. That one deals with what's known as associative memory. A person will go back, remember when this happened, try and dig up or root out what exactly it is that makes the person afraid of it, and then attempts to eliminate those individual things with variances on exposure therapy as well as hypnotherapy. It's rough. I'm not going to lie, it's rough. Hypnotherapy is something I can't speak to 100%, mostly because 1, I'm not certified, and 2, because I'm not certified, I ethically cannot practice it. I'm an ethically evil hypnotist. That's why I don't touch it. I'd love to study to do it. I have the time to do it, and you know what? I might very well do it at some point. But for right now, I'm not touching it, mostly because I just want to, I guess you could say, gain more of my focus elsewhere. So the stage hypnosis, though, it requires a lot of participation on the part of the subject. And as a hypnotist, I don't want you to have to do that much work to enjoy yourself. You know, stage hypnosis relies very heavily on the person casting aside a lot of inhibition. Now, inhibition is, I guess you could say, the biggest hurdle that a subject has to go over whenever doing anything hypnotic with someone. Naturally, there are certain things that are easier to do than others. And if the person is willing to overcome that particular aspect, they become a great subject, especially for stage hypnotists if they're willing to go through it. Now, hypnosis kink, that one is a little, that's a growing field within the kink community. It's losing a lot of its stigma, thank goodness. Because a lot of people think that you could be hypnotized into doing something you don't want to do, and there are some states that actually still have it on the books that using hypnosis can alter the mind to the point where the person cannot consent to anything. Now that is bullshit. A person cannot do anything in a state of hypnosis that they normally would not do when they're not. In other words, I can't hypnotize somebody into sleeping with me if they don't want to sleep with me. I can't hypnotize somebody into forgetting that they're married to get something. I can't hypnotize somebody into doing something they don't want to do. Plain and simple. But there are some states that still lack an understanding as to what hypnosis is. It's a problem. It's something that a lot of the kinky hypnotists out there are really trying to correct. So, you know what? Spread the word. It's not mind control. It's not. Is it fun to use in the bedroom? Oh, God, yes. The things you can do. Believe me, I know. A lot of the circuits that I teach in and a lot of the circles that I teach in are in that realm, and I can guarantee you, not only is it real, not only is it potent, it's fun as fuck. Questions, comments, concerns, complaints, cash payments. Don't forget to share. Share the stream as often as you can. Every single new video, when it gets shared, the more engagement, the more followers, the more views, the more likelihood I'll still be able to show up next week. So, then we've got recreational hypnosis. Now, recreational hypnosis is kind of what I'm talking about a little bit tonight. It's the hypnosis just for the sake of having a little bit of fun. You know, make the moon turn green. You know, make a glass of water, vodka, and get drunk on it. It's fun. Turn iced tea into Jack Daniels with a word. I can make a cigarette taste like a joint. Hypnotically. If a person has experienced something before, I can just as easily simulate it to that same person hypnotically. With anything. It's not that difficult. Apologies, I have an alarm set because right now, what we're doing, this is the part of the show that I call the AMA. You can ask me anything, I'm happy to answer. Try and shock me. And you won't. Because I've done all sorts of things hypnotically. I hold a world record in hypnosis. Believe it or not. Sensory triggers and sensory transfer page. That's my favorite thing to do hypnotically. I love making a person feel something one place when in fact they're being touched somewhere else. In particular, if I'll boop somebody's nose, they'll instead feel it in their tummy. That's a personal favorite. Varying different degrees and varying different natures, but that's one of my personal favorites. I also enjoy the awe factor. That is fun. The how, Jeremy, believe it or not, the how is kind of tied into the why. And this is where it gets interesting. Back in 2012, I was diagnosed with a form of brain cancer. Been free and clear since 2014. You know, knock wood. Okay? I had a passive glioblastoma. It was located pressed up against my hippocampus. It sucks. Elizabeth, it involves something with a microwave. Now, because I wanted to learn the way the mind worked, after I was put into remission, my memory had a tendency to be futzed with. I suffered from cerebral seizures and memory blanks. So I had to learn a brand new way to be able to tie things into my long-term memory. So I used associative language, different bits, and what I did is I delved into how the mind works and how it processes information. So I had an interest in hypnosis to that point. I was open to the idea of it. It had been used on me in therapy. So I was like, okay, this is a thing. All right, this is kind of cool. I'm open to it. But I didn't really start to delve into it until 2015. I went to a social group that delved into it recreationally. I was introduced to it by this very wonderful person by the name of Moongazer. And he made me experience being on a beach hypnotically. It was amazing. And from there on, I was hooked. I dove into every single bit of literature that I could. The how, the why, the what. Attended classes on the subject. I went to conventions that taught it. Eventually, I started teaching it. And I started to develop my own ways to be able to put people into trance. Came up with my own nature of hypnosis in what experiences I have people experience. That is like truly like it's addictive. Teaching it is very addictive. And that's how I started to get into it in the first place. There are tons of books on the subject. There are tons of YouTube channels out there. Depending on the nature of what it is that you want to learn, Jeremy, there are there's literature. There are hypnosis conventions throughout the country that teach you all varying different aspects. There's one, I think, in Vegas, as a matter of fact. Paige. What was the name of the one that happens in Vegas? Paige is also one of my students, too. Because, you know, there are people that I'm close with that do watch the stream, and they are also involved in various different aspects of the hypnosis community. So I'm curious. I can't remember the name of the one that happens in Vegas, but there is one that happens annually. I know off the top of my head a number of the kink ones. Oh, Hypno Thoughts. Yes. There you go. Hypno Thoughts is the one that is taught in Vegas. There you go. And it's taught annually, so if you missed it this year, guess what? Next year they'll have it. There are, depending on what region of the country, let's see, you're in Vegas. There's a hypnosis kink event that happens in October, and if you want, we'll talk about that offline at some point. But, you know, they all exist. Yes. The topics range. Yeah, I know, that's the downside. A lot of hypnosis conventions this year have been canceled. There was at least 3 so far that have been canceled that I know of. Mine, I am not going to cancel until mid-July. I need to see whether or not the border opens up, whether restrictions have been lifted. They might be lifted by then. And if they're lifted by then, I'm still having the convention in Toronto. But if it's not, I will gladly, you know, push till 2021. And yeah, if they don't run this year, they'll just be better for next year, because everybody will be prepared for it. There's one that's called Charmed, there's one that's called Nihu, there's one that's called Beguiled, there's one that's in Texas that's called Heart, there's one in Toronto, it's called Toronto EH, that's mine. You got Mindquake out in the San Francisco area. I mean, they're all over the place. Not to mention other parts of the world too. There are other hypnosis conventions. So, to your heart's content, man. Only thing I ever ask. Consent, consent, consent. I cannot say that enough. Consent, man. Don't put anybody through anything unless they ask you to or consent to. And it's called Toronto EH, or Toronto A, for Toronto Erotic Hypnosis. Nice little play on words. Paige used to be the convention chairman, now I am. Any other questions, comments, concerns, complaints, cash payments, YouTube subscriptions? I'm happy to take them. Because right now my YouTube channel only has 22 subscribers. That really hurts. And yes, start prepping your passports. You want to know what? Even if you're not going to cross the border this year, have one. They come in handy. I got mine. Then again, I also crossed the border. You know, we're approaching a time of night where I usually start defanging and kind of relaxing a bit. I'm thinking of doing that. Yeah, I think I might do that. It's that time of night. Like I said, Horror Show Jack does fantastic work. No adhesive. Just fits right over the tooth. Had these for 5-6 years. Still fit, despite my teeth. Isn't that cool? There we go. Kind of hot here today, too. Do I believe people have past lives? Yes and no. You see, that's... Honestly, I don't know. I do not know. I wish I knew, but I don't. Funny thing is that me pulling my hair up relaxes me a lot more than having it down. And road trips, Dawn, yes, are fun. Where are you located, Dawn? There might be a hypnosis convention near you. Because like I said, I teach at a lot of them. Actually, I teach at all of them. With the exception of the one in Texas. I just haven't had a chance to go down to that one yet. I'm going to turn off this light too, because, ow, there we go. Dramamine. I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it. You know, I mean, hypnosis was portrayed. I'll give you guys a good example of something. It's called an induction. An induction is what's used to get the person into trance. And for some reason I didn't realize I had a bit of coffee dripping from my mustache. Caffeine. With any or all forms of trance, a person has to get put under the way they get put under is called an induction. Now, there are varying different ways to do an induction. There's focus inductions, there's kinesthetic inductions, visual inductions, auditory inductions. The classic dangling of the watch, that's a focus induction. You're making the person focus their attention on something so that their attention elsewhere is slowly but surely beginning to concentrate until the only thing they see is that watch. It's a thing. It helps the person focus because they're hearing your voice and they're seeing the watch. And once they're in trance, they're in trance. Any other questions? Hypnosis is basically exterior guided meditation. I have no favorites page. I do them all, and you know this. Instant inductions, if I had to pick a favorite. The kind where I can immediately make the brain go, wait, what? And then drop. Those are my favorites. Meditation where people say Om is what's known as a form of self-hypnosis, also known as meditation. As long as they want. A person can stay in trance as long as they so choose to. That's as long as it doesn't put their body in danger. A person could stay in trance all day. That's the thing. I think the longest I ever had somebody in a trance state was 7 hours. And the only reason we stopped was because the space was being closed. I had someone in a trance state for 7 hours straight. And that was because they wanted to experience what it was like to be interrogated. So yeah, I've done some really weird shit hypnotically. Somebody said, what was the weirdest thing I heard? Something about someone using a microwave. Or being hit with one. It was weird. And I had heard that one only this past January. They can, and they can. Like I said, a person doesn't lose consciousness. They just basically lose the ability to process exterior stimulus beyond whatever it is that their brain bothers to try to. It isn't so much an automatic thing at that point. It's kind of like setting the brain on autopilot. We've all had those days, or at least I think some of us have had those days where we've been up for more than 24 hours. At that point, Roz wants to go to fuck to sleep. So she stops bothering to really look at anything too poignant. You know how they say your attention begins to drift and you start to zone out a lot more the longer you've been awake? Same thing. And some people love being in trance because it's very similar. It's very similar to that feeling that you have when you first wake up in the morning, but you haven't quite opened your eyes yet. You're still experiencing the dream, but shit from the outside's infiltrating. That's kind of what trance is like. It's the best way to equate it, the feeling of it. So some people will stay in that state all day if they want. And as with all things, hypnosis is practice, 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 and more practice. The more often you do it, the easier it is to be in it, the easier it is to get there, the easier it is to stay in it. I know some people that the hypnotic triggers I planted in them years ago still work. It's all fun, though. That's the thing. It's all fun. As long as it's consensual, it's all fun. That's what makes hypnosis great. Nobody's got anything else? Questions, comments, concerns, complaints, cash payment? Feel free to support me. My PayPal info I will gladly give to you if you message me. If you want to donate. You don't have to. We have merch on hellfireradio.com. I highly suggest support the station directly by buying merch. Jeremy, I'll tell you this. There are tons of instructional videos out there on how to get you there. The first and foremost thing is to remember that nobody's trance is the same. Nobody's. Okay? One person's trance might make them go. Another person's trance might be this. You never know. Well, you see, the problem with that, Dawn, and this is where it gets a little tricky. Sleep is actually beneficial for your body because there are a lot of things that the subconscious is able to do when Roz decides to go to bed for the night. And the thing is that it involves a whole lot of autonomic functions, like cellular healing, various different forms of digestion, brain chemical manufacture, as well as refreshing. All that stuff happens when you're unconscious. Alright, so your brain, yeah, I'll make you feel like you don't need it, but you kind of do. Sleep is essential. And I wish I could rest for 34 hours straight. You know, hypnosis is good to make you feel a certain way, but to be honest with you, you know, I mean, it's not good to deprive yourself or give yourself a reason to deprive yourself. And yeah, hypnosis has been used in various movies to some subtle degree. I think the closest they've come to it, it's a blend of what you've seen in that movie, Get Out, and Now You See Me. How you doing, Sheena? And welcome to Into the Shadows. Right now I'm doing a little bit of an AMA. Most of the show's already ended. However, you can always catch the full episodes on my YouTube channel. Look up Baron Voltage. My channel is happy to receive subscribers. You can also contact me directly at baronvvoltage@gmail.com. And you can friend me on Facebook. Baron Voltage. Baron Space Voltage. What you see in Get Out is a good example. Have you seen that by any chance? How many people have seen that movie? Give me a thumbs up or, you know, a like. So this way I kind of know what I'm kind of dealing with here. Because if I know, then I won't have to, like, describe 100% what happened. But it was a fairly good example. And Now You See Me also had a fairly good example too. I'm not sure of the delay, but Stir of Echoes. Alright. Stir of Echoes had some decent points. Stir of Echoes had what was known as a auditory narrative induction. That one is okay. With Get Out, with that one in particular, one of the people that's an actual hypnotist, she's stirring the rim of a teacup with a spoon while talking to the protagonist. And she's making sure that you can hear the sound of the spoon's metal against the rim while she's talking. And it's such a blatant maneuver that he can't take his focus off of that spoon while she's talking him through an experience. And it's just going steady. That's a focus induction and an auditory induction. As she's doing it, she's gaining more and more of his focus, and then more and more of his focus is going from the outside, and it's slowly beginning to focus right into that point where the only thing that's left is that spoon and her voice, until eventually she stops and goes and sleep. And without him necessarily being able to resist, he dropped. That's where the realism went away and the movie took off into its own bit. Now You See Me is great work with mentalists. Now, mentalists is something similar to what I do. Mentalism is using various forms of hypnotic induction with concentrated guessing and cold reading. But what Woody Harrelson's character did in that were known as confusion inductions and instant inductions. Those happen when a person is speaking fast enough and saying something so confusing that the brain can't process it fast enough. And that makes a person easily drop into a state of trance. We've all experienced it, believe it or not. One of my personal favorites is to just take... Well, I'll use this as an example, okay? I'll tell somebody to look at this. Look at this. Look at this. You see this? You see this? Do you see this? I'm glad you see this. I see this. 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 You see this. You see this. I see this. You see this. I see this. You see this. I want you to look down, look up. Look down, look up. Look down, look up. Look left, look right. Look left, look right. Look left, look right. Look left, look right. Look up, 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 and drop. And they would drop. Because I started off with something simple. Me, you, me, you, me, you. Then I wabbit seasoned the fuck out of that, and I'm like, me, you, me, you, me, you. Now they're associating themselves with this pack of cigarettes. And then I tell them, you're going to go down. Where is it really going? It's going up. So your brain is going, wait, you said down, but that's up. That doesn't make sense. And then I say, you're going to go up. Wait, but it's going down. It should be up. That ain't right. And I said, go left, but I'm really going right. And then he said, go right. No, it's going left. Why am I going, it makes the brain go, wait, what? Enough to the point where the subconscious comes out of its office like, the fuck do you think you're doing? And even the conscious brain comes off of his couch, is like, dude, did somebody fuck with the sound system, man? And next thing you know, boom, immediate drop. It happens. That's a confusion induction. And he does variances of that, especially when they start explaining stuff near the end of the movie as to how they did it. Subliminal messages are a form. It's what's known as covert hypnosis with a variance on neurolinguistic programming. It's when you are using what's known as visual anchoring. There used to be, I think it was a vodka advertisement that in the ice cubes was a picture of people being intimate and having sex. The thing is that your subconscious brain saw it, even though your conscious brain was too busy just looking at the vodka. Your subconscious brain saw that. So now your brain is associating the image of sex with the vodka and makes you want it even more. It's an example. Hello, Albert, and welcome to Into the Shadows. Wow, I'm getting a lot of viewers showing up fairly late, but I'm happy to have yous. But yeah, subliminal messaging is a good example of covert hypnosis with neurolinguistic programming. The king. There are two people in the 20th century that were the kings of NLP, and we didn't even realize it, believe it or not. One of them you probably know of. The other one you would have been like, wait, really? One of them, Billy Mays, the infomercial king himself. God rest him. Okay? What he did was he generated excitement by turning his voice up whenever he was introducing a product. He'd be excited about the product. And if you notice, take a look at what his hands are doing. If you ever managed to catch any of the old commercials, he was bringing focus to the product and pushing it towards you because you want it. Bring focus, give. Speak with excitement about the particular object. If I speak with excitement, so do you. No. Not exactly. With stuff like that, like the positive thinking stuff, it's kind of a form of NLP. The seminars where they have like how to pick up women and shit like that, that's straight up NLP. That's why a lot of us hypnotists, we don't really mess with it. There are some that are great at it. That are straight up hypnotists. They're good at it and know how to incorporate it so that it makes hypnosis a lot smoother. Some great experts out there. I know quite a few of them. I'm friends with a number of them. My mentor is one of them. One of the people that used NLP at a seminar, though, it wasn't a seminar, it was a rally. And it happened in the 40s. I think you know who I'm talking about. Yeah. Addie would consult with a hypnotist, speech maker, before his rallies. Yeah. He was the king of NLP. If you notice, take a look at old newsreels of his speeches. He would increase his volume on certain words. He would use his hand motions to show a sense of urgency with things that he said, which would in turn incite the crowd to feel urgency with what he was saying. And it created associative language that got him to be brought in a lot more. When he went like this, it was, I'm bringing people closer into me. Focus on me. Focus on what I'm saying. Old trick, but a damn good one, and effective. His ideology was fucked. Right now he's being rammed with a frickin' pineapple. Can't discount his skill when it came to NLP. That's the fucked up part. That's a prime example of what I mean when NLP can be used for evil. And he did. Well. That's why I don't really mess with it. And this is why NLP can be used for bad things too, because sometimes you'll be reacting to NLP, you won't even realize it. A lot of people from back then don't know why they could not say no to that man. They had their own instituted prejudice, yeah, but to the extremes? No way. Cult of personality led in by a push. And just the right things to be said. I guarantee you that man consulted with an expert. And knew exactly what he was doing. Because neuro-linguistic programming experts, NLP experts, do a lot of the same shit. Jim Jones, the freaking People's Temple leader, another one. Though he bolstered it with a little bit of extra. Not only did he throw in religious fervor, but he sleep deprived a lot of the people. So that they wouldn't necessarily be able to resist that much. It made them very mentally pliable. All true, though. Kind of scary, isn't it? Manson used some too. Koresh was another good example. Although See, here's the problem with Koresh. With Koresh, it wasn't necessarily NLP as it was interpretation. The only thing I can say about him is that it wasn't hypnosis inspired. A lot of his stuff was very much he preyed upon people that followed the word of God in their eyes. I'm not a Christian. I'm not traditionally. A lot of his... Let me put it to you like this. If somebody studies a car manual well enough to be able to build a car from scratch, okay, and walks into an high school automotive class, you're going to listen to what he says. And he doesn't need to really do much except express that knowledge. That's a good example. You had a lot of people that were very hungry for guidance in that regard, and he knew exactly how to use it. That's how he got away with a lot of what he did. You know, and there's things about him that leave things up in the air. I mean, I can't speak to it. The only thing I can simply say is that the stuff that you do hear and the stuff that gets told, it's, you know, it's weird. I can't offer an opinion on it because I'm not 100% informed. I just know a lot of what was and from the evidence that I've got. Remember, people, there are no such things as dumb questions. You can ask me anything. And since this is the last show of the night, my YouTube channel is Baron Space Voltage. I don't have a picture thumbnail for it, so we should be able to spot it. It's just a big-ass B. All my past episodes are on there. The episodes for the Wednesday show that's run by the Rant Commander is on there as well. I usually try and upload a couple of days after this one has aired. Gives me time to be able to like kind of decompress from the week. So like and share as much as possible. Subscribe if you can. That's all I could ask. You know, and if you want to donate, by all means donate. Just get in touch with me through my Gmail at BaronVVoltage. On my YouTube channel, I also have it there too, so you can contact me directly. I answer all emails I get. I answer all messages I get. Nobody gets left in the dust. I'm at that point where nobody really will get lost in the shuffle. I'll see you. I'll know you. So, by all means, if you got any questions, comments, concerns, complaints, hit me up. You got ideas for a show, I'm glad to do one. You see, Heaven's Gate, see, a lot of that, they prey on people that are looking for some form of guidance. And when you've got an expert saying that they got all the answers, you're going to listen to them. That's where they say with great power comes responsibility. There's a reason why that was a thing. You know, when you got that kind of power over people where they are looking to you for some form of expertise, you know, you gotta like know what you're doing with that information and what comes with it. You know, there are people within the hypnosis circles out there that abuse the shit out of their position because they know that they're seen to as being experts. You know, I've got friends, and not to mention the fact that, you know, I myself have had people view me as an expert, and I kind of like have to like dispel it a little bit. I'm like, look, I know what the fuck I'm talking about. Yeah, I know what I'm doing, but, you know, don't look to me like I'm a god for it. Please. The only claim to fame that I really can say that I have, other than being, here's the funny thing, my partners can actually legitimize this, and this is what's fucked up. I am world renowned for being the most evil hypnotist in the world. Go figure. I'm known globally. People in Hong Kong know who I am. People in Australia know who I am. People in the Netherlands, in Germany, in Russia, Africa, Europe. Various different parts of Europe other than just Germany. I know Germany is Europe, but still. You know, I run a convention in Canada. I think the only places they don't know me are... Well, actually, no. I think maybe 2 people know me in Mexico. And I don't think they know me in South America. That's it. That's the only thing. Evil how? Okay. I'll explain that in a second. And I hold a world record. I've tranced 115 people within 20 minutes. Yeah, that's a good point, Don. Very good point. All right. Here's how I got my evil status. A lot of the types of hypnotic narrative trance that I put people through, I teach how to make somebody experience their worst possible nightmare. I will talk to a subject and find out exactly what it is that is considered the worst possible thing that can happen to them and make them go through it hypnotically. They consent to it, but because I can conjure up something that fucked up that quickly, that detailed, and that effectively, made me the most evil. You know, whenever somebody tells me that they've had a really bad day, I'm like, I can make it worse. I will find a way to make it worse if you want it to be. And one of the reasons why people want to experience that is the adrenaline rush. You know, some people want to feel that sense of catharsis after they've gone through that. They want to be pushed to the brink so that the return back is very... Yes, there are. That's why I really try to not do it. I'm known for doing it, but I try not to do it unless I really know the person. I'm able to keep an eye on them consistently. And usually, standard rule of thumb for me, if I'm going to be putting somebody through that, I'll have to have been a romantic partner of theirs for a number of years. I have to have known them for a number of years. I have to have really, really studied them. Their ins and their outs. And the reason for that level of caution is because when a person is going through that level of horror and terror and fear and agony, you might not be able to get them to tell you to stop because they're going through it and they're that scared. You have to be able to read that person inside and out. And the reason why it's a little bit dangerous, it's some advanced level shit, is because they're not going to look at you the same way after doing it. There's something that's called aftercare. After you put somebody through a state of extreme, or sometimes just, you know, minor, but still aftercare, you have to conduct it after something that intense. And it's not just for the subject. Sometimes the hypnotist has to go through it too. You know, the times of doing that, I feel horrible. I feel like a horrible human being for putting somebody through it. Because, I mean, I'll give a good example. I made somebody experience killing their own family, having their infant child in their arms, and happy to do so, not because the child lived, but because they couldn't wait until the cops leave so that they could kill the child. That's just an example. Making somebody experience murder through their own eyes and knowing it was them and wanting to do it again. No, they always will. They always will. Doing that form of amnesia play can be very... You know, it's something I'm not comfortable messing with because I suffer memory blanks. I know what that's like and it sucks. The only thing I can tell them is that what they experienced was a dream. Or was some form of a nightmare and that everything is alright. But, let's face it, even after waking up from a horrible nightmare, it's still going to leave you shook. I mean, there are plenty of people that have woken up from bad dreams and they'll look at whoever it was that they're laying next to that may have been the subject of the nightmare and they'll be like, would they actually ever do that? Dreams can influence a lot of people very, very effectively. So you gotta be careful with it. I mean, to this day, I still get shook with some of the shit that I've done hypnotically. Even though the person asked for it, even though they were happy with it, it still fucks me up. You know, that's why I don't really do it too often. You know, consider me that old hermit in the mountain that used to be the greatest at something. You know, you only come to me when you really want something. Hey, I'm happy to teach. Happy to teach. As a matter of fact, I teach this shit at conventions. I'm taking a look at what time it is right now. Whew. Alright. You want to know what? I think I'm going to close out for the evening. I want to thank you all for joining me tonight into the shadows. Yeah. Robert, believe it or not, I suffer from cerebral seizures that cause me to have memory blanks. So, yeah. And you know what? Everybody eventually remembers something. But for those of you that are still tuning in, and those of you that might watch a replay of this on Hellfire Radio, you can also find past episodes there, but you do gotta dig for them because they have all weekly episodes. Thank you. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel, Baron Voltage. There is a space between the Baron and the Voltage. And, you know, like, comment, subscribe, and share. Check out hellfireradio.com for extra merch. And, you know, I'll see you guys next week. I am happy to take any show ideas. I am on Hellfire twice a week. Wednesdays is The Killing Wall. There's a comedic rant for the week. And Into the Shadows, where I do a deep dive into fear and subjects of fear. I had brain cancer. So I'm with you right there, Rob. And you know what? Contact me directly at baronvvoltage@gmail.com. No spaces. And I hope you all have a very pleasant evening. Thank you for tuning in. Like, comment, subscribe. Seriously. The more I get of that, the more likely I'll be here next week. No problem. Have a very good night, guys. Take it easy. Hasta lasagna. Stay in the shadows.